Hi, in today's video I'm going to be covering an annoying error I came across with some scripts that I've written. Authorization required, but no authorization protocol specified. Error cannot open display 0. And this was really bugging me, and I'll show you the fix. So basically what happens is I have a set of scripts that create a split VPN route, and I can then put a particular application into that VPN namespace to run it over the VPN. So I can say put Firefox in the VPN but have my other browser going at my regular internet. And I've got it all working except the graphical applications wouldn't work. And the way I do this is I run a script that runs as root and then falls back to my user when it opens a graphical application. But I was still getting this error. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to fix this. So first of all, if we echo display, you'll see my display is :0, but it's saying here error cannot open display :0. So what we need to do is use a program called xhost to allow our user access. And once we've done that, it's going to work perfectly. So I come across to my notes here. So what we're going to do is allow access to an application that we've started with DOAS, but has originally been started as root, but then falls back to our user. So the way we do this is by running xhost plus capital S, capital I, colon, local user, colon. And then what you can do is you can either put in your username here, or we can actually use the whoami command, which is going to print out our username. So if I run echo whoami, it's going to print out my username. So we've got two commands here, one to allow access, the one I've just shown you, and then to get things back to normal, we just run xhost minus. So let's have a look. Xhost plus si colon local user whoami. Local user, my username being added to access control list. What I'm going to do is actually come up here and run this command here. And what this does is this uses DOAS and a script that I've written called namespace that will put Firefox into a separate network namespace. And what I also have is a script called Firefox-netns with a bit of code in that's needed to get the audio working. So there we go, there's Firefox. Now, one thing I want to mention about this is you'll notice I get this extra header bar coming up here with this method, and I don't know why that is, but if I run what's my IP, what's here, okay, you'll see that I am in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, as obviously I'm not. So you can see this is actually coming up with the IP address. And what I can also do is show you another thing. So another way I can actually demo this is let me just close this up here and just open a regular Firefox. So I'm going to come across to Firefox, youtube.com, and give it a second to load up. And what I'm going to do is search for YouTube movies. So you've got YouTube movies here. I'm in the UK, and we just have browse and purchased, right? Now, you can see I've got my VPN running here. I could run this command on the command line like this, but what I've done is I've created a desktop entry with some with that bit of code in, basically, so that I can run either Firefox or Firefox VPN. So we've got Firefox VPN here. See, I've got this extra header bar. Stick it full screen, it goes away, not a problem. But now if I come to YouTube Movies and check that out, youtube.com. YouTube Movies. You'll now see I have another section here, free with ads. There's usually a thing that comes up that says view all, but these are all the movies, most of them crap on YouTube. But what I'm going to do is actually just show you the audios working with this. So let's pick something. Pick one of Adam P's videos.
Hey guys, and welcome back. We have returned to Newcastle after spending a couple of days.
So you can see the audio is working with Firefox here. What I'm also going to do is show you launching a torrent client in the VPN as well. Okay, so you can see here we've got the browser in this separate network namespace. And again, the reason why I'm just going through this is this was the final piece of the puzzle for me to get this working on Fedora, so that I can have a split VPN. So you can see this one, as I said, is in the US, but if I come across to Chromium, okay, so this is in the UK. YouTube Movies. Whereas this browser is in the US. So what we've got is a way of sending any application over the VPN to unblock stuff. So we've got this browser, Firefox, in the US, this browser in the UK. So what I'm going to do now is come across and check my torrent IP. Check my torrent IP. Okay. There may be a link on IP magnet. Okay. Not sure if it's this one, BT Guard. Let me check because I had a link somewhere. I swear I had a link somewhere. Let me just see if I can get this working. So we've got transmission here, and we've got transmission VPN. Again, this is done with desktop entries. So now let's download this tracking torrent, if this will work. Okay, you can see here your IP is 184.170.241.126. What's my IP? (184.170.241.246). So you can see both the browser and the torrent client are in a separate network namespace, and I'll prove that to you. Well, let me delete that. And no, I don't actually. I'm not going to actually show you my real IP address. That's probably not a good idea. But what I'll do now is actually just go through and show you some of this. Okay. What I'll do here is actually remove the access control and show you it not working again. So access control removed. For some reason it's still coming back now. That's weird. So not sure why it's still working. I would have thought that would have sort of disabled it, but okay, so that's it added back. Let me just go through and show you some of this code just in case you're interested. Fedora. Okay. So we've got a couple of scripts here. We've got VPN netns. And basically what this does is this uses openvpn configuration files, and I'm using private internet access. And basically what we have here at the bottom is some openvpn code. And what that does is we specify the configuration file, which has got our username and password, and also the configuration file for the VPN we want to connect to. And we have this up and down section here, and this points to this other script, netnsvpn. And in there, netnsvpn, what we have is I have to specify the path to the IP command, because otherwise the script doesn't actually find the IP command in user sbin for some reason. But what we do is we run the netns command, which allows us to create a separate network namespace. And we do a bit of network shenanigans here to basically sort of set a route into that network namespace. And when you do this, you actually create a directory and etc. netns vpn. And we also echo a resolve.configuration file into that directory as well. And what I'm also doing is using the Unbound DNS server. What I've done is actually created another systemd service that I stop Unbound, and then I start a new version of the Unbound service and send the traffic over the split route. So that's the up section, and then we've got a down section here that actually does a reverse, stops everything, removes the configuration files, and then restarts Unbound. And then the next part is we've got this namespace command here. And basically what this does is this is run with DOAS. We run DOAS namespace, and then the name of a command line or graphical application, and it will then put that application in the separate network namespace. And finally what we've got is Firefox netns. Doing this in a bit. Okay. So if you just run, we've got this still running, okay, and Firefox is not open. So if I was just to run DOAS namespace Firefox, it's going to open up. If I come to YouTube, there's going to be no audio. See, there's no audio coming through. Yeah. So at first you're thinking, oh, that's a bummer. You know, that's no use then. You know, if we can't run a browser in the separate network namespace with the, you know, and it's got no audio, that's not much use. So after a lot of tinkering around, what I found is you actually need to run Firefox with these options. So what we've got here, let me just zoom out a bit. It's all in one line. Home equals home, pulse server equals, and this is the path of the pulse server, and then the pulse cookie. So what we need to do is actually have a kind of wrapper script with the pulse server and the pulse cookie, and then start Firefox. So if I run that with netns,
Yes guys, this is an instant reaction as Newcastle played their first Champions League game in over 20 years.
So you can see there the audio is working perfectly, and that's just the options that you need to set. Basically, you need to launch Firefox like that. So that's the Firefox netns thing, and then I've also got local share applications. So what we've got here, hang on a sec. We got these two desktop entries, one for Firefox and one for transmission. So if I come into this one here, you can see we've called the desktop file Firefox-VPN, and we're also giving the name Firefox-VPN, so that's what it comes up with in the application launcher. So we can see, because if they're both called Firefox, you won't know which one's which. And then down on the exec line, what we have here is, instead of it just launching Firefox, what we've got is doas namespace user local bin Firefox-netns, and that basically runs that script that I showed you that enables the audio in Firefox in the separate network namespace. And so that basically allows me just to go Firefox VPN or Firefox. So basically I can just create desktop entries for any graphical application, so that I can launch it through the application launcher rather than having to do it on the command line. So that's the exec line, and we've got other exec lines down here for like new window, so same thing, new window, new private window, that sort of thing. Then we've got transmission vpn.desktop. What we've got here is the name, we call it transmission-vpn, exec doas namespace transmission-gtk capital U. Same thing for these options down here. Once I've done that and put the desktop entry in local share applications, these now both show up here so that I can launch them from the application launcher, and they'll automatically be in the separate network namespace. And the interesting thing that I want to emphasize here is that, as you can see, as I launch these, I am not prompted for an admin password in the terminal or anything. It's not prompting me to you know, enter something on the command line or in a pop-up, even though we're basically running these, but we have to run them as root. It runs it as root and then falls back to us, our user, when it's actually running the GUI application. So let me just show you that again. In my hang on. this section down here at the bottom. So IP netns exec VPN. Right, so it's running this first part here as root. Yeah, basically we're running it as DOAS, and we're running the IP command, and we're executing something in the VPN network namespace. But then what we're doing is we're running DOAS with the -u option to switch to our user before we actually finally run the graphical application. And let me just come back to show the DOAS configuration. So you can see here what we've got is permit no pass my username command namespace for these different options like VPN root, VPN netns, and namespace command. And what that allows me to do is run that command without being prompted for my admin password. And that's also this section up here, permit no pass, keep set environment path root as my username. That's needed so that we can set root to actually run as our user. And all these bits put together basically allow us to run a graphical application in a separate network namespace without being prompted for our password. So that's why I got into the whole xhost thing, and that having to fix that error with, you know, error cannot open display 0. This may just be an issue because I'm on Fedora, which uses SE Linux. I haven't actually run into this issue before when I've set this up on other Linux distributions like Arch, Debian, Nix, that sort of thing. So this may be an SE Linux issue with this particular setup I've got, but I just wanted to show you, if you're getting that error that I showed you at the beginning of the video, how to fix it. So you can either run a command like this, xhost plus si local user and then whoami, or you can explicitly put in your name, like Donald. You're Donald Trump. Although he's probably not smart enough to use Linux, can barely use a phone. But anyway, those are the two options you can use. You can either do whoami, which you probably want to use if you're doing this in a script. But the other thing to note is we're running this xhost command as our regular user and not as not under root. Yeah, so you wouldn't. So you're not running sudo xhost, you know, and then this command. You're running this command as your local user. So again, those are the two ways you can do it. And to remove the permissions, you just do xhost minus. So you could put this in a in your shell script or as a startup item or something, so that what you could do, I guess, is you'd want it to start up and then probably remove it. So I don't know if you could do it as a login and log out option or something. But those are the two commands that you basically need to get this working. So if you have any issues with xhost, not with that particular error, I don't know if I can generate it now again. Okay. Just see if I can launch Firefox open. If I try it with different applications, see if I can generate the error. Okay. Chromium browser. Oh, it is actually launching. Okay. So for some reason, it's still working. It may be because it's in. I don't know if it's because I'm doing it in the same tmux session or something. Let's try it in another window, see if that makes any difference. namespace Firefox. No, it's still working, even though I'd sort of removed the access control. So you don't need to enable it for every time you want to launch an application. Just do it once and it will actually fix the issue. But actually removing it doesn't seem to have any effect. But that's the command I used to add it, and that's the command to remove the permissions. Maybe it's only takes effect after you rebooted or something, I don't know. But anyway, that's how you fix the issue, and that's why I came across this issue, going through all this separate network name spaces. It's basically useful having a split VPN like this, because as I said, I can launch, say, Chromium. That's UK, and then Firefox Net VPN. So I can actually be running two browsers in two different network namespaces, and this might be useful, for example, if you want to get around geo-blocking, for example, to watch something in another country. So there's like, for example, Pluto.tv, is it? Okay, so you got like, I won't load anything up, but you can see that's unblocked. But if I come across to this one, it will say something like not available. But I think you should say it's not available in your country or something. Yeah. Oh, it usually does anyway. But anyway, that's how you can actually set up separate browsers, be in different network namespaces, and also your torrent client. And you can also use this with command line applications. So for example, W3M, if I'll show you W3M Google.com, see that comes up normally. Yep, go as namespace W3M. Google doesn't like private internet access VPNs, and when you've got them activated, it always throws up an error message. Alright, let's get open. Yeah. This network is blocked due to unaddressed abuse complaints about malicious behavior. So you see that I'll get that come up with this browser as well. Yeah. See, so that's the message you get come up, and you've got the captcha whenever you're using private and internet access. But I just wanted to show you that I can put a command line application in the VPN, or a graphical application. And yeah, this was the final piece of the puzzle to get the graphical applications working, the xhost. So the fix is xhost plus capital SI : local user : and then you can use this bit of code here, double quotes, $, braces, whoami, and that's going to print out your username. Or you can just put your username after the colon, and said you might want to use this option if you're doing it in a script, so that if you want to use it with multiple users and they've all got different usernames, that will get around that issue. and this basically removes the access control. But as you could see, even though I'd removed the access control, I could still actually use the graphical application without getting that error message. So that's all for now, and that's just a little run through of split routing, split VPN route, and one final thing I forgot to show you was Unbound systemd seems to be okay. So this is the only other thing that I did. This is a systemd service for Unbound that I knocked up, and basically what this does is this starts Unbound in a separate network namespace. You can see here user sbin IP netnx exec VPN, and we got a separate PID file. So what I do in my VPN script is actually I stop Unbound, and then I restart it using this systemd service, so that Unbound is actually also sending this traffic down the VPN as well. So that's all for now, and that was just a follow on from why I got onto looking at xhost. And as I said, it may just be I'm getting this issue because I'm running Fedora with SE Linux, and it's got some added layer of security that's actually throwing up this message, because I haven't had this message come up with this setup before. So I hope that helps fix any errors you've got with not being able to connect to display 0 or what have you. The other error message was no access protocol specified or something. And so I'm actually running Wayland here, but this xhost command actually works on Wayland as well. So this should work whether you're on X11 or Wayland. So that's all for now, and I'll put links to all this under the video.